bought my Evo IX as per the previous video, and I've owned it about a month and a half now. It's an amazing car. It's what I hoped. It really is. It handles like nothing else I've ever driven, and it's fast compared to previous cars I've owned. It's fast. There's no denying that. It came with a 300 and a 320 is the standard map, and a 400 horsepower map. I've had the car checked over Evo Tune, and that included a dyno run. But when they investigated the 400 map, there were some interesting settings on it, and basically I've been recommended just not to use it. Because the way I was told how to activate the high and low pressure maps, I have actually been using high boost when I didn't know I was, which obviously is why it felt very, very quick when I first picked it up. But now I'm just running out in 320. There's plenty of power there, and really just getting to know the car and enjoying it, learning how to drive it, which is a strange one. My previous car was a 200 horsepower supercharged Swift, so most front wheel drive would understeer. You had to, the way it was set up geometry wise, really you had to load up the front corner before you really threw it into the corners, and that would remove any chance of it understeering. With the Evo, I found that approach, it works, but really the better way of doing it seems to just be to go into the corner faster than you really should be anyway, and just have the power on into the corner and through the corner and out the corner. At no point should you not be on the throttle, allowing the diff to be locking, the front diff to be locking. And when you do that, you get a huge amount of traction. It feels so composed into and throughout the corner. But what's more concerning is when you do that, you end up going faster and faster every single corner, to the point that you're doing back roads at 80, 90 miles an hour, and you don't realise, because the car is so composed and handles so well, even on bumpy, undulating roads, even in the wet, which I've not really driven it much in the wet. So yeah, the car is an absolute joy to drive. I have had one issue. So about a week after I picked up the car, I was out with my partner and our baby. The baby was in the back seat with the baby seat in, and been out for a little bit of a drive, and started hearing some belt chirp, what I thought was belt chirp, and it got quite loud. I actually pulled over at the side of the road at one point and just investigated it, and it just seemed like belt chirp, and I thought, well, it's not great, we'll get it home, take it easy getting home. And about 2 or 3 miles away from home, there was a big clunk, and the battery warning light came on, and basically the tensioner for the auxiliary belt had completely sheared, almost in half. I'll try and put a picture up on the video. I'm not really very good at video editing, but I'll see if I can show you a picture of what I mean. The pulley had actually sheared off. The belt had obviously come off, so I had no alternator and no water pump. I pulled over, luckily right outside a friend's house, who managed to give my other half and my baby a lift home, and I nursed the car home and went about fixing it. So actually, belt tensioner, relatively easy fix. Not the worst thing that could have happened. Since then, it's been been pretty reliable, which is good. I did notice in the service history, when the timing belt was done, there was a point saying that the belt tensioner was replaced with a good condition second-hand unit. Now that was only about 700 miles ago. Really, as a sprung-loaded tensioner, it's not the sort of part I would ever have replaced with a second-hand item. These are about, I paid 100 quid from Eurocar Parts for a replacement. It's really not the sort of part I would have skimped money on. And that does actually lead me to question how well and how thoroughly the timing belt has been done as well. So again, that was done about 700 miles ago. Well, more than that now. I've done at least a good couple hundred miles on the car since I bought it. So it does make me question how well a job that was, and I may end up just maybe this winter or next winter replacing the timing belt and doing all that myself as well. I have noticed there's a couple of little oil leaks. I think one of them is coming from the crankshaft seal. So if I do the timing system, I can do that as well. So that saves me quite a lot of potential heartache if anything there is going to go wrong. I can probably see if I can catch it a bit early. It's looking very dark now. So the next, got a bit of a thunderstorm here, a little bit of thunder and lightning. So the other things I've really been doing in the car, I re-added the original Mitsubishi diamonds and the Lancer badge to the back of the car, because the previous the car had been debadged and I just didn't like the look of the car debadged. I've replaced quite a few bolts and actually had to drill out some of the rusted bolts in the engine bay. They're slowly being replaced with stainless steel versions and greased as well. There's very few of these things I'm taking out of the car that are actually have any sort of grease on them. So a few of these are being copper slipped before they go back in. And other than that, the car seems pretty sweet. Yeah, I'm not really sure what else. I've bought a catalytic converter for the car, or a sports cat, which I'll fit at some point. The car was pointed out to me to have bad rear diff bushes, so I have a set of Super Pro rear diff bushes that will go into this. That sounds like it's a bit of a difficult job to do. I actually need to drop out the whole rear subframe, but it needs done, so we'll get on it. And other than that, it's just odds and ends, and deciding what I want to do to the car to make it mine. When I'm doing high speed pulls, even the low power that it's running, it's exciting. So I too have to pay attention. Also, I have noticed the gearbox, particularly going to third, it doesn't crunch, it doesn't actually make any noise, but the selector does feel like it's a bit sticky as it goes through the synchro mesh. Now I've actually bought the selector bushes for the Evo IX 6-speed, so I'm going to put them in. I'm not convinced that's the problem with this, but I've got them anyway, so if they are maybe showing the range a little bit, hopefully that'll help. Oh, this car just something else. I'm not particularly it round while I'm trying to speak, and actually, as you can possibly tell, it's actually getting dark now. Got a lovely sunset, but also a little bit of rain and some more lightning. I do feel I'm actually driving towards the storm though, which may not be a great idea. I don't particularly like driving this car in the rain, just to try and preserve it a little bit. So I might actually turn around and go in the opposite direction. I absolutely love the sound of it coming on boost. Just absolutely grips the road like nothing else. So yeah, I think that's my update. Not a huge amount. I've not been dailying the car as such, but at the same time I have been using it a fair bit. I'm not doing a lot of work right now. I'm not going to the office a huge amount, but I've taken the Evo in most days that I've gone into the office, and I'm actively looking for excuses to drive it, as most people would expect. I have a few plans for it, some of which are focused on the interior. The interior's a bit basic, as a lot of you already know. Plan to get some items carbon skinned, just to lift them up a little bit away from the standard solid black plastic that covers everything in this car. I've also managed to find a set of chrome door handles, which seem to be very rare. They only came on the higher spec Evos, so a set of them, again, just to make the interior look a little bit more interesting and a slightly higher quality. Very slightly. It sounds like that's something relatively common for the Miltech exhaust systems, so that needs to be modified next time I'm under the car. Overall, all the suspension bushes, with the exception of the diff bush, the rear diff bushes, seem to be in good condition. I was expecting a 100,000 mile car. I don't know the last time these bushes were changed, but I was expecting odds and ends to need done. I have noticed a bit of a clunk. I think a bit of a clunk going over bumps on the front corner. Now, this car was actually supplied with the Spec R chrome caps on top of the front dampeners to hide the top mount, basically. They were loose, they didn't fit particularly well, so I've removed them, and the last couple of drives I've been on have seemed a lot better. So I am wondering if that rattle has just been the little chrome caps just bobbling around when I've gone over some potholes. So if that's the problem, that's great, that's an easy fix. And really, that's about it. I plan to get the diff bushes sorted and get car remapped by Jamie at Evo IX probably next year now. Jamie's mapped my cars for probably the best part of 10 years. And I've always been very happy with his work. So, considering now I actually own an Evo, the idea of going to Evo IX to get my car mapped makes perfect sense. So, that's the plan. And obviously, that means I'll get exactly what I want and what I ask for regarding my map, which is fine. I apologise for stopping talking. I don't really know this road. And there's little humpback bridges and all sorts in it, so I'm just paying attention. Not to mention, the rain is getting heavier and I'm seeing more and more flashes of lightning out of the window. So that's my update. The car is fantastic, I love it. Actually, so one thing, the car when I picked it up had a set of asymmetrical Eagle F1s, which are great tyres. I always consider them pretty good, although for the last couple of years I have been using 808 RS. However, the wheels I think are maybe a little bit too wide, or I think possibly a little bit too high offset, so the tyres actually scrub the arches. Now this only seems to happen if we've got anyone in the back seat, but I think I'm going to have to change the tyres. It's not actually the real tyre that's catching, it's just where the Eagle F1s flare out for the rim protector that causes me the problem. So tyres without a rim protector should be fine. Also, these tyres are slightly stretched on these wheels and they're only 235 wide, which I think is the same as stock tyres. Ideally, I'd like to try and get a higher contact patch. I would have liked to go with wider tyres so I could achieve that. So I really like the wheels on the car. They're a set of XXRs, which is not a brand I was particularly aware of, but I do like them. I like the style of them. So I'm not sure about that one. I might end up actually selling the wheels and buying very probably a very similar looking set, because as I said, I do like the style, but a set with a much better fitment I think is what's needed. But yeah, other than that, I'm very happy with my car. It's hilarious. I'm definitely getting a few idiots, particularly in German cars, trying to race me and trying to behave, really. Trying not to get myself arrested. One other thing I did do, I don't know if anyone particularly follows me on Instagram that also follows my YouTube channel. The car came with a stuck-on number plate. which I don't really know why, but I absolutely hate stuck-on number plates. I hate number plates with gel letters, the 4D number plates. I don't see why people use these when really the only, like, you're supposed to just use the correct lettering. Now I'm kind of going to be a bit of a hypocrite here, because what I've replaced it with is a very small, and for that reason probably illegal, plate, but it's now a real plate on the original mount. And personally I think it looks a lot better and it looks a lot more legal, but we'll see. I'm aware that other people are running Evo plates that are much smaller and much more illegal and seem to be fine. So it probably comes down to how fast I'm going when the police officer pulls me over. Depends on how many illegalities he screws me for. So we will see, but I'm much happier with the look of the car now because of it. And yeah, that is it. That's everything. So thanks YouTube, and hopefully I'll be posting another couple updates as I do stuff on the car. Great, thank you.